Welcome back to your coverage here at the European World Championship qualifier in Berlin. Thank you very much for all of your patience at home, and thank you to our duelists as well. Round 2 is underway, which means now it's time to get our round 2 feature match underway for all of you at home and the 2 duelists in front of me, who include our previous Italian champion and second place Italian qualifier this year, Diego Ganzerli, and Steven Mielczarek, who are both ready to take their time with this round 2 feature match. Gentlemen, we're going to do a high roll to see who goes first. Who would like to roll first? Diego's going to roll first. And that is a 9 for Diego. And that is a 7. So you're going to go first? Oh, okay. Steven is going to go first here. So I'm going to hand you guys over to Alberto, Tom, and Basti, who are going to be your wonderful commentary trio for our round 2 feature match. We're underway. The tournament continues.
Thank you so much, Ed, and welcome from our side as well to round number 2 of this European World Championship qualifier here. And I think we can already start going after the bingo, right? Because we just saw Diego Ganzerli there deciding to go second there against his opponent here for round number 2. Very soundful name right here in round number 2 as well with Diego Ganzerli, especially for the Italian fans, right? Yeah. This year finals was nice with him and his friend Lorenzo Moselli, right?
It was incredible. Best friends playing for the title, and it was basically heartbreaking, but at the same time, beautiful moment shared by 2 friends. And I mean, also, apart from the victory, I would say that they share a beautiful memory, and from a champion to another.
Yeah.
So
and maybe they can share another memory this weekend together by maybe making Top Cut, maybe making their way to the World Championship together. Who knows? Diego has won round number 1, but let's see how we can do here in round number 2. The round 2 feature match is now starting. And there we have them. And now you might be a little confused because you would expect Diego, honestly, to be on the deck that Steven is on, but maybe Diego has already gotten the notice what Steven is on, because we see it is going to be the 10-pie dragon strategy for Steven, actually, who's now forced to go first by Diego on the other hand, which is going to be quite interesting.
I was wondering if Diego, I mean, he might not know what his opponent's playing. Given the shape of his deck list, I'm wondering if that was just his plan, just to choose to go.
Oh, but there is the Dimension Shifter coming down in the first turn here of this featured match. And Diego now, on the other hand, is playing a version of the Fiendsmith Snake Eye deck that may be able to handle that one better, because those Kashtira cards work quite well throughout Shifter, because obviously they don't really care about the graveyard that much, as Birth and the Kashtira Unicorn that is searching the Birth are working quite well on the red. And, oh, what are we thinking about there? Oh, look at that! There is another new card, another new appearance of the Molcharmi Perulia coming down here. He was dropping it into the graveyard, but luckily enough, it doesn't need to be discarded to the graveyard for cause. It can just be discarded. So Diego, when he wants to special summon from his hand now, and that is where the Kashtira Unicorn would be coming from, he would need to give Steven a draw for that.
Yeah, that's one of those things, like you get to know all of the hand traps, whether they need to be discarded, sent to the graveyard, etc. But I guess Molcharmi is one of the newer ones, so we need to learn, and it is just discard, right?
Yeah, and I think this is a very good addition in general in the main deck, because we saw also yesterday the playoff players adding this card in, but I think it makes a lot of sense to play in the main deck, right? It's one of those cards, if you go second, you just have it in case, and I think, yeah, it's there, and it may be very annoying, honestly, to play against.
I mean, especially in 10-pie, right? In 10-pie, you kind of always have the security of going second, if you're not playing against Diego Ganzerli, who's just sending you first, but usually you just always have this card live, and then it's just too powerful to miss out on it, I think.
Yeah, that's got to be like one of your worst nightmares as a 10-pie, like someone else wins the dice roll and makes you go first.
Yeah, but actually I think the 10-pie Dragon deck is quite popular overall this weekend, and therefore I talked to a couple of people bringing the deck to the tournament. I think they already thought about strategies actually for the mirror match. They want to be prepared for the scenario where they get sent first, assuming it is going to be that kind of scenario. So there are some tags in the extra deck mainly, which are provided for that. And look at that, we just summoned out the Fenrir as well, applied some pressure by attacking. Oh no, we're not even attacking it. I thought we'd draw for turn, but we just actually decided to now normal summon, and therefore we drew a card for Molcharmi again.
Yeah, we can get another Surge of Fenrir maybe, unless there's more things to come. from Steven. I don't know how much you can do under Shifter. It's not really very much with the Snake Eye package, but you don't need to, and I guess you've already got your Kashtira monsters.
Oh, I think we searched a unicorn there, right? For the people at home playing the bingo with us, there is Kashtira Fenrir adding Kashtira Fenrir, but that wasn't a Fenrir, that was just a unicorn coming down there. So, not lucky on that end. But on the other end, is it really that... I mean, now that you normal summon the Fenrir, you can't do too much anymore. I would agree with you. But, because otherwise, if we just didn't normal summon yet, just getting a Poplar out, searching the field spell, or maybe starting with the Snake Eye Ash, then searching Poplar, and then the field spell, that's quite a bit of damage adding up, I think. But looks like Diego does not want to go down that route. And he's just going to calculate whether he can get any additional damage here on the field. But no, it is going to be a battle phase. And in that, we're going to trigger the effect of Kashtira Unicorn. Looking at the extra deck, so Diego is now going to get the concrete information on what his opponent is on. And I think he was already assuming that now that he saw the Perulia, now that he saw the Dimension Shifter, and now he's seeing the extra deck of Steven. And he can browse through it. What is a good card to take out against a Tempo deck?
I was just thinking, like, there's... People used to build their extra decks with Unicorn in mind, but no more really, so it might be that his deck's a bit more vulnerable. I assume you run 2 copies of some of the more important cards. Maybe the Trident Dragon gets hit.
I think I just saw that. I think he did go after the Trident Dragon there. And I think usually you want to go after either the Sangenpai Biden Dragon or maybe the Sangenpai Transcendent Dragon. More so the Biden Dragon though, because most of your combos go through the Biden Dragon. But you're playing 2 of these. On the other end though, that Unicorn now there on the field probably is going to be able to activate its effect again. Oh! Wow. Steven is setting a monster, setting a spell and trap card. That ain't looking too good here, honestly, for him.
Yeah, that's not ideal. I mean, he has been cut off from a few extra cards. Normally with the Tempai deck, you get to draw an extra card going second, so maybe he's relying on, you need to see 1 or 2 more cards there.
Yeah.
Full of hand traps, by the way. I think he has Ash Blossom, Nibiru, Draw a Lock, and which may now help him out.
Snake Eye Ash now being normal summoned. And honestly, due to the field spell effect of the Race Off, that would already be enough, right? Wouldn't it be? Because that Unicorn alone is 2,800 attack points currently, and therefore that would be, if the Fenrir goes after the set monster there, would potentially be enough. But there could of course be an unpleasant surprise of it maybe being something like a Fadra, which can't get destroyed by battle or something like that. But then there would still be the Fenrir possibly being able to help out against that.
Yeah, you don't really want to go into your battle phase against Tenpai with them having monsters on the field if you can help it.
Absolutely, do agree. And let's see now, we still found a way to the Poplar because we had that bonfire activated there. And yeah, we are now also able to use the effect of Poplar. I think Steven is just going to say alright to that because I think he might have mismanaged his Drone Lockbird in hand there a little bit, because I see a Drone Lockbird there, and usually you want to go, hey, chainlink 1 Poplar, and then you're able to chain the Drone Lockbird so the Poplar doesn't get anything further from the deck. But Diego is already starting to search out with his Poplar right now, so that Droll is not going to do too much here anymore.
Yeah, maybe he's relying on that Nibiru instead.
Yeah. You may be right. Maybe he wants his opponent to just do more things, so that Nibiru is going to be very impactful. I can see that for sure. But Diego, on the other end, is already preparing against Nibiru by now activating the Temple to have a backup plan in case that Nibiru is coming down. But honestly, do we even expect him to summon 5 times here in that turn? Because that is already looking quite scary what is on the field there already.
Yeah, I think he just merely needs to be careful about that because, his opponent just passed. So he might be holding something because he's also has him, the effect of Poplar, maybe wanted to be sure to activate the Draw Lock, but this is going to be the 3rd summon, right? I guess. So.
Yeah. Now we're about to summon the 3rd monster this turn. 2 Snake Eye monsters, and now there is going to be... What are we deciding on even? Do we just go into... Yeah, we just want to go after our Fiendsmith cards. So there is the Moon of the Closed Heaven. Honorable Fiendsmith card, I want to say.
Maybe he wants to make a Link 5, with the Moon of the Closed Heaven and your opponent's monster. Well, you can't because it's face down, but, it'll be fun.
Okay, Fenrir comes back. How much attack does the Moon of the Closed Heaven have? 1,200, so...
Oh no, and we've lost the race off, so...
Okay, so we just go into the battle phase. What is it going to be? We're looking at the extra deck, first of all, on attack declaration. Once again, Diego knows what's in there, but what's the plan this time? What are we going to banish here? I think at this point you just try to memorize as much as possible so you have perfect information for the second game. Oh, and it is a Fadra, look at that. But still, the Fenrir can go after the Fadra. And is that still going to be enough, though?
Can you not attack directly with the Fenrir afterwards?
I mean, yeah, true. You're right.
But it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, true. So we are packing up our cards. Diego Gancelli is taking down game number 1 here. So he keeps on winning after already being the second place finisher of this year's Italian National Championship. He also wants to find his way to the World Championship here through the European qualifier here on this weekend. Did he actually, I think he also made the top cut of last year's European Championship. And I think at that point he was still like with his favorite deck from back in the day with the Fluanderie strategy, right?
Yeah.
But he abandoned that, sadly. He was always playing that deck. That was so nice to see.
But it was unbeatable, honestly.
Yeah.
I think last season, I'm not going to lie, I think he topped every single event.
For sure, with Fluanderies.
Yeah, with Fluanderies. I
Yeah.
mean, he knew the deck by heart, and I think it was so difficult to play against Fluanderies, and he really didn't want to face Diego at all.
Absolutely.
And also this season, he was quite successful.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, you know, like sitting at a tournament like this, you just being a runner-up at the Italian National Championship, I think you have a shot. So
Absolutely.
It's one of those players that, you know, is very young, but I think his accomplishment speaks for him.
Absolutely. And I mean, I love how that special connection between Lorenzo Moselli and him developed, because they really work on their decks together. They enter a tournament, probably this tournament as well, with like the exact same deck list, because they trust it so much. They trust each other so much. And like having such a bond with such a good competitive player, and then as a duo, I think those stories are very unique in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because usually Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course is played as a singular game, 1v1, but having that partner in crime somewhere in the tournament hall right next to you, which you can always go to after the tournament and after each round, basically, is so cool to have, honestly.
So I have a question for you, Basti. So when you went to a tournament with a friend that you practiced with, would you go with the same deck list? Or every time I went to a tournament, I think like I would always disagree on like 1 or 2
Really?
cards with my friends. We'd like get down to the last deck card and then we'd change it
So
out.
maybe I would have been a good partner for you, because I think I would have trusted you. If I have a real good friend and I'm saying, hey, this is my friend, I trust him so much, and then I'm just going to trust him on that decision as well. Yeah, I will go full on with him.
What
yeah.
about you, Alberto? Did you go identical deck list with friends, or did you?
Not 100%
Never.
identical.
Yeah.
Like the thing is that when I used to play, I would say is maybe 95% was the same. Maybe 1 cut difference, and just because I had, you know, this thing that I played just odd numbers, not even. So like not 40 decks, I just play 41.
Let me just put it in one, there can be only one on top, and that will do, right?
Marcello knows better, so you can ask him. Yeah, no, but
That's
like
fair.
maybe that card addition or that difference.
I think you just wanted to be different at that point,
Yeah.
both of you, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, if you have such a strong process, when you're building the deck together and you're like testing it so much, then aren't you eventually just going to come down to the same decisions? Like, at some point you're just going to agree on things, don't you? If the process is long enough, and I can tell you these 2 guys, they have tested so many games with this, for sure, 100%. So I think, honestly, at some point it's going to be mutual that you just want to go with these.
I mean, if I had a friend like Alberto who said I have to play 41 cards, I'm sorry, that's a hard line for me.
I
That's
would
it.
rock that with him.
Never going to happen.
I don't know about that one. I mean, maybe you guys at home can tell us about your stories with your friends entering tournaments together, kinda. But we are going to see these 2 against each other now, of course, again. So let's see who can take down game number 2 here between these 2. Of course, already the interesting decision of who's going to go first here. Is Steven now having the privilege of choosing second, as he probably would have wanted to have in the first round as well? Oh, okay. Diego is announcing faces. Pretty safe indicator that he is going to be forced to go first here. And he again is able to start it off with his Kashtira engine.
It's such mind games when like both decks want to go second, but you don't know if someone's going to side to make themselves better to go first. It all gets a bit confusing.
Yeah, and honestly, the list of Diego overall, while looking at it, looks a bit more traditional. Looks like a bit more, he's more so referring to his Nationals deck list that he played a couple of months ago. Because back then, Kikinagashi Fucho was a more popular tag, and he's still running it in the side deck, and that is specifically tailored towards the Tenpai Dragon matchup, because it is a rank 1. You can summon on your first turn when Tenpai sends you first, and you're kind of safe, and you can't really get that super powerful Tenpai turn on you.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I think like it looks as if Diego didn't wake up from that final. I don't know.
He's still in the finals of that. Okay.
Like, yeah, I mean, like looking at his deck, it's very similar to the strategy he and Lorenzo had at the national championship, and it may help out because like we saw that most of our Fansmith Snake Eyes players are playing more or less the same list with some additions in the side deck and changes. So it may work out, and I really like the idea of having, you know, some spice and some changes in the deck, right?
Same, absolutely.
Yeah, I watched him and Lorenzo talk about their deck afterwards, and they were like very much tailored to beat the hand trap version. They were talking about how, like, you know, Skill Drain, Dark Ruler, these are so much more powerful cards in their opinion than the traditional lineup which other players choose to take. So, I mean, clearly something worked out for them.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the overall approach in the format right now still is going towards that hand trap, hand interaction approach, because we saw in the playoffs yesterday, all of them all of the Fiends for Snake Eye players had at least 16 hand interactions in their hand, sometimes even 20 of them. So like half of their deck is filtered with those hand interactions, and then honestly just sending them first, as maybe what Diego does in general, and then throwing down the Dark Root and more, followed up by a triple tactic talents. I can see it, honestly.
The only thing I'm scared of now is adding the Fiendsmith and the Beatrice opens up so many options. If you just let your opponent go first, do their thing, someone's going to set a skill drain, someone's going to set a different dimension ground, and you can have all the Dark Rulers you want. It doesn't stop different dimension ground.
Yeah, the ending fields of the Fiends of Snake Eye players are now so different, because we saw, for example, as you were just mentioning, skill drain, we saw Diego Baptiste yesterday just even main decking the skill drain, playing the Nightmare Griffin in the extra deck, so they just go different routes, and then it's tough to cover all of that with a going second strategy. So that goes for the Tenpai players, and maybe apparently also for Diego, as he has just as he just went second here as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a nod to the people playing Dark Ruler and such that you include these trap cards, because they almost seem like win more cards sometimes. But if your opponent's just going to let you do everything, you need the answer to your opponent just letting you do everything, which is actually doing everything, you know, rather than...
That is indeed correct. And we see Diego now progressing with his combo, even though he had to face 2 infinite impermanences. We still went down and resolved the effect of Fiendsmith Sequence to bring out the Desiree here, which is going to be the negation of the Fiendsmith engine. And also, counting right now, we have 2 Link summons already happening this turn. Are we going to see a third one for another hit on our bingo, potentially?
Do we have 3 fusion summons as well? That's it's only really going to happen in tournaments. I don't think Fiendsmith can fusion summon 3 times in a turn.
I would doubt it as well.
Twice that stretch.
So that does look like a Link 4 to me there. So that would pretty much indicate Appaloosa, Bow of the God is coming down, and that would also give us another hit on our bingo. There we go.
No. Has to be 4 materials.
Oh, but it's 3 Link summons in 1 turn, which we just
it's 3 Link summons, yeah. Okay. But there's also Appo with 4 materials.
Yeah, that's true, which is not the case here, absolutely. Absolutely, you could say. Absolutely. Oh, there's Kashtira Birth now as well, bringing back the Kashtira Unicorn. And honestly, Steven sitting there with his 2 infinite impermanences in the graveyard, and they both didn't really feel like they did too much, did they? And that's the advantage of the Fiendsmith Snake Eye deck. You can just play through so many things, and the deck is kind of relentless. You also still have the resources now for the follow-up turn. But over to Steven. Is he going to have one of those super impactful Tenpai turns? One of those turns that can just end the duel in 1 turn at a time. This deck is capable of putting out damage like nothing. It could be 16,000 points of damage sometimes, and Sung and Summoning, the also powerful field spell, is a good start to that.
One point is that you said they didn't do too much, but I don't see any Snake Eye cards from Diego. So
Yeah.
There's some pieces missing from his end field.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah, we went after the Poplar, and that definitely denies him some stuff. You're right. Okay, we're negating the Sang and Summoning with the Desiree here. Is there going to be a response? Okay, no response to the Desiree directly, but there's Pot of Prosperity being activated, and now that means Steven will have to do 16,000 points of damage if he wants to end this duel here in this turn, as damage will be half from here on.
This is a little bit dangerous. I mean, I don't think many players think about Prosperity, but it does make you a lot weaker to Unicorn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right.
Like,
sure.
if you've got to flush out some of the extra cards, now you've only got a 9-card extra deck. Unicorn's even even more powerful.
Absolutely, the extra deck is already decimated, and then the Unicorn can go after even more. But now, the Desiree, interestingly enough, if you're wondering, is not only negating the effect of Sangan Summoning to search for, but also it is permanently negating the card. Therefore, the protection effect for our Tenpai Dragons here for this turn is not applying anymore, which is going to be a huge thing to deal with for Steven here. Because they are now vulnerable to that Appaloosa still sitting there on the field.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the plan is with the remaining cards in his hand. Like, the Desiree is going to shut down Rivalry of Warlords, so you can't really fall back on that unless you can somehow get rid of the Desiree.
Because I think he has another Prosperity in hand for sure, right? I can't really tell what was the other card, but...
Yeah, another Prosperity and a Rivalry of Warlords.
Oh,
so.
the Rivalry, okay.
Sangan Kaiman is being added. Maybe being an indicator that we just want to head into the battle phase here and then profit off of that Sangan Kaiman. But like, how much can one Sangan Kaiman do, really? A singular Sangan Kaiman is going to be able to crack that entire field there.
I mean, that's a question a lot of people have asked themselves against Tenpai, isn't it? How much can one Tenpai monster do?
Yeah, and then at some point they just snowball into all of them, and there's a Trident Dragon almost all of a sudden sitting on the field. So let's see, Steven going through his deck. Are we still in the main phase here? I think so, because he's considering Pydra, which would only make sense in the main phase, basically. So the two different effects of Sangan Kaiman, of course, in the main phase. You can just add the card in the battle phase. You may as well add it and then special summon it out, which usually would be Chandra that you go with them. But in the main phase, it's probably Pydra or the new inclusion to the deck, of course, which would then be the Genroku, which was just released in Infinite Forbidden. And interestingly enough, the ratios in Steven's main deck are kind of interesting to me, because we see him only running 2 copies of the Tenpai Dragon Pydra and only 2 copies of the Tenpai Dragon Genroku as well. And I thought you're just maxing out on these, honestly, because they feel like the best ones, to be honest.
Genroku, I'm not sure how much you want to draw it, because you want to resolve its effect by adding it to your hand, so maybe that's a card you only run 1 or 2 copies of?
Yeah, to be fair, that's a good point, absolutely.
But the deck itself, I think there's only so much engine you want to run, because you only really want to see 1 or 2 engine pieces.
Fair.
So I understand it, like, it's not just a case of just adding in more and more engine because you've got new engine cards. It might be that you want to keep that ratio the same, but it's always it's a fine art with deck building, isn't it?
Interestingly enough, we do let the Pydra resolve here. I mean, to be fair, okay, we can only search a spell card, and the Sangan Summoning is already there in the field. The Sangan Kaiman was used already to fetch the Pydra, and therefore there's not much to do anymore. And now the Unicorn, as you were saying, banishes the 7th card out of his extra deck there.
I'm a bit confused, like, what do you do now? The Pydra doesn't even... You've used the Sangan Summoning, and you've used Sangan Kaiman, so...
Yeah, the plan is... Yeah,
oh, okay, we're just going to set 3 cards, and that will have to do for Steven. So that is not how you usually envision a Tenpai turn to go down if you're a Tenpai enjoyer. But it has to go back to Diego here at this point, and he starts off with Wanted, and Steven, oof, he doesn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many options for Diego, and the king of grind games, almost the Kashtira Birth, is just sitting there alongside the rest of the of the Fiend Smiths and Snake Eyes. It's just crazy how much follow-up Diego is going to have.
Absolutely. Okay, grabbing another copy of the Black Witch. And are we going to immediately... Yep, we are going to summon it out. Did we send anything? Oh, we were normal summoning because Kashtira Birth is on the field, and of course it's a level 7 monster. Therefore, we can normal summon it without any tributing, which is nice.
That is super cool.
Can we consider this for our being a successful tribute summon?
No, I don't think we can.
So, right?
It says normal summon without tributing.
All right, but we are still, because the Black Witch doesn't care whether it is a normal summon or special summon, so we can still use the effect of it on the summon to set that original Sinful Spells, which we're now going to use by sending away the Poplar there as well.
Do you think there's any mind games that Steven can use to resolve this rivalry of the Warlords? That's got to be what's in his head, right? There's some way to get the Desiree off the field or activate its effect so that this rivalry can resolve and shut down what Diego's trying to do.
I mean, I think Steven searched out that Sangan Kaiman So that card is known there, and maybe Diego just wants to hold his negate for the Sangenkaimen. Okay, now it gets activated pretty early on though, and Diego just lets it through because I'm pretty sure we're still in the main phase, so he doesn't even really mind it that much.
Yeah, especially because like Steven already activated 2 impermanents, right? So I mean, maybe it's likely that he has a third one, but if he really does, I mean, not that it's gonna hurt that much. So
Genroku is activated, and I mean, we can. Okay,
It's not going to
let
do
it
much
through.
to the Apo, is it? You can just Apo it whenever the effect activates to tribute it to special monster from the deck.
Yeah, you're right. So nothing to be concerned of just yet for Diego. He allows that. He is okay with that. He's just building his field. As you can see, all main monster zones plus the extra monster zone is filled now with monsters. And still we're going to search out that temple, ready to boost the level 1 monsters as well on top of that.
Yeah, I don't even know. Sometimes you just have so many cards. Like Diego has his field's full, his hand's probably going to be quite full. Like, it can be quite tricky to figure out exactly what you're supposed to do in this situation. Like, you could just go and attack, but sometimes that can lead you into trouble against Tenpai. So, you've got to figure out the cleanest way to navigate this.
Absolutely. So, quick translation on the Desiree there, I'm pretty sure. Of course, the European Championship means that there's all kind of different nationalities heading towards Berlin this weekend, and here we have Italy facing off against Germany, so of course also different languages of the cards coming into place, so Steven just had to make sure on a safe translation there for his cards.
Yeah, it's always important. Sometimes you just want like the finer points of a card effect, because most of the time players know most of the cards they're going to be seeing, but sometimes you just want to see the exact text to know exactly how to interact with it.
All right, and that is a beautifully co-linked Nightmare Phoenix. Discarding the temple we just searched, going after one of the cards in the Spawn Trap Zone, and I think it wasn't a trap card, so that would be fine. We are going to chain the effect of Genroku to it, first of all. And anything else? It is fine.
Can we negate that?
We could. But they decide not to do so.
Maybe Diego is like thinking the Tenpai Sangen summoning stops you from doing that? I don't know.
But Sangen summoning only is on the turn. There's let's double check.
It's
during your main phase 1.
It's during your
it's just
okay,
your
so it does even less. Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting rid of the bluff that was sitting there, the second pot of prosperity we had in our opening hand, and we will be able to draw an additional card due to the Phoenix being co-linked here.
Yeah. And then get the unicorn again, like everything is gone.
Oh, and look at that. I think we just used... It felt like we used Viapalooza. Okay, now we are using Viapalooza on the effect of Fadra. Fadra was trying to bring back a monster, but that did not work out as we just negated that now. Fair enough, we're using the effect of Snake Eye Ash, and I'm pretty sure eventually we're trying to bring out Flamberge Dragon. Okay, now last card unknown there sitting for Steven. And Diego just has that Desiree, still not used, face up there on the field, ready to negate something, ready to negate that last card that Steven has to protect him.
Yeah, I don't see what Steven can do here. It's all kind of locked up for Diego. He's got one card left that's face down and one card to negate it.
All right, so the cool thing about Tenpais, of course, that they're able to synchro summon in the battle phase. Oh, and there's also triple tactic talents now. Are we just going to take over that Hydra and attacking with it for a game? That's always like the most crucial thing to do. Taking your opponent's monster and then attacking with it for a game. Do it with their own monster eventually. And then Steven now is going to activate that Rivalry of the Warlords. It's going to be answered with the Desiree, so there's still enough monsters to attack. And we're even going to negate both of the cards. Attack for game. Diego Gonzalez, swift and clean. 2-0 victory. Moving on with a 2-0 overall record now in the tournament. So actually, Lorenzo Muselli, his good friend we were talking about, is starting into the tournament with a 2-0 record because he won the finals against him, the national championship, but now Diego also made up for it, just won the 2 first rounds by nature, by playing them out. What do you like more, actually? Do you like having the 2 buys and being relaxed and go very late, or do you like playing, already being in the rhythm?
Like, I think if you told me I was definitely going to win the first 2 rounds, I'd rather win the first 2 rounds.
Sure.
But, like, you don't guaranteed to win the first 2 rounds, so I'd take the bye every time.
Yeah, but so that means all of the players you saw yesterday in the points playoff, they are going to join the tournament now with a 2-0 start. Also, all the national champions of the season, they are going to join the tournament now as well with a 2-0 record. So maybe next round we're going to see a national champion potentially on the featured match. That's what we're going to figure out. But what do we think now about the Tenpai deck? Because I think here in the hall, with over 2,000 people entering, there's a lot of people on that Tenpai Dragon strategy. I've heard a lot of people considering it, bringing it to the tournament, and therefore I expect quite a bit of it numbers-wise. But what do you think? How good is it going to convert? What are you expecting from the deck? I
mean, I think that's a very unfortunate situation for the Tenpai deck being made to go second. Like, obviously,
in game 1, yeah.
In a mirror match, that could happen.
Yeah.
There aren't too many other decks where you want to go second, and at the end of the day, like, if a deck's bad matchup is its mirror match, then, you know, that's part of a deck. You can't say a deck's bad because it's bad into the mirror.
Sure.
It doesn't really make any sense. So
absolutely.
That's not going to happen against too many other decks, fingers crossed, for all the Tenpai players. So maybe that was just unlucky and we didn't quite see it up to its full potential.
Yeah.
No, like, I agree, especially because one deck that I liked yesterday at the playoffs, we didn't get the chance to see because he lost on the very last round, was from Gianluca Di Luigi.
I love that version of the
because
deck,
that version is insane, honestly. And I can tell you guys, spoiler, that he's playing it at the European Championship as well.
Ooh.
So hopefully we will see him in action. It's basically Tenpai with Sky Striker.
Yeah, and a lot of striker cards.
And,
I love that list.
I mean, like, I saw him in action yesterday, you know, playing the deck seems insane.
Oh.
And I really hope that we can bring it to you guys later on in the tournament. So, Gianluca, I hope I'm not jinxing it to you.
I hope it's for the bingo card as well, because there's Sky Striker Mobilize Engage activated on the bingo sheet, and I want that as it's my favorite card as well. That would be fantastic to see. But yeah, I think we can expect a lot of Tenpai. Still, strong opinion about the Fiendsmith Snake Eye deck. I mean, what is there to say? It's probably just the deck to beat, the best deck in the room. What can you do? Not surprised at all to see also, of course, Diego bringing it to the tournament, as he's one of those top-level players that always basically is entering with the best deck of the format, trying to do it with it. I mean, after his Flu Under Reese arc, basically, after he stopped playing that. But for now, he's just pretty much with the Snake Eye deck, and I think there's very much plenty of reason to bring that deck to any kind of tournament you're playing at the moment.
What do you think about the choice to bring a going second version of the deck, which is quite interesting? Like, we haven't seen anyone yet go second with this deck, really.
Are we 100% agreeing that he's probably going to just play a going second version of the deck? Must be, right? In game 1, he went second.
Maybe.
How would he know?
Maybe.
How would he know?
Maybe he was sitting next to the guy previously, which, no.
Possibly.
Possible, but yeah. But,
possibly,
you know,
for
maybe
sure.
he knows the guy, I don't know.
But honestly, in general, I think the approach is dangerous. The approach is really, really dangerous to go second into those kind of different varying fields of Fiendsmith Snake Eye decks. Yes, Dark Ruler No More is great against it, but yes, it can also be kind of problematic against some of the versions that you just said. If there's a skill drain sitting on the field waiting for you, what are you going to do with Triple Tactic Talons? What are you going to do with Dark Ruler No More? Have fun with those. Not really going to be too impactful, but we can hear about those strategies by the man himself. Let's go over to the winner's interview of Ad and Diego Ganzelli, of course.
I'm here with Diego Ganzelli, the winner of our round 2 feature match here at the European World Championship qualifiers. Diego, congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell me a bit about your Fiendsmith deck. Why do you like Fiendsmith?
I like Fiendsmith deck because it's insane. It's fantastic for play going second and make a big combo with Beatrice or Desiree. And the synergy with Snake Eye is fantastic.
It's so popular, everyone's playing it. So because you're playing it, how do you prepare for the mirror match?
Yes, I'm very prepared for the mirror match. And after Tenpai, I think it's time to play versus mirror match.
Do you think you're ready for it?
Yes, I'm very ready.
What's your approach, or do you not want to give that away?
I'm very confident. I think I don't have a
particular strategy.
A particular strategy.
Right, okay. Well, I'm sure you'll definitely be going up against one at some point. It's almost inevitable. But let's just quickly talk about your game. So you very much quick dominated game 1. Talk to us about what was going through your mind in game 1. It was very quick. Like, how was it for you? What were you thinking?
But I think with Kashtira card, you can play very fast versus Tempai because he's the perfect counter versus Purulia and Shifter. Okay. That has the most powerful card in Tempai deck.
And then in game 2, you spent a bit longer, it was a bit slower, and then right at the end, triple tactics, talent, and attack for game. Were you very confident and happy during that one?
Yes, I'm. The game 2, I play more. I play more.
Slowly?
Slowly, because with the 3 set, I play around the river, and Desiree don't negate nothing for river.
Well, congratulations, you did brilliant. We've obviously seen you win last year's Italian Championship, finalist this year. Do you think you can make it to the finals today?
Yes.
Good, that's what we like to hear, mate. Best of luck with the rest of your tournament. I hope it goes well. Guys, you know what we're going to do now. We're going to have a little bit of an analysis, but it's not going to be Leo this time. I'm going to throw you guys over to Nadir in our analysis zone so he can take you through almost a weather report of that game that we just saw. Nadir, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ed. Hi, welcome everyone. We have our little analysis here. I'm going to take you through clip number 1, first of all. A couple of interactions in that game that I want to discuss and just take you through. So as we see here, this is game 1 here from the turn 2. Steven activates Dimension Shifter over to Diego, activating the Wraithsoft, and in response we're going to have a Mulcharmy Purulia come down. I want to talk a little bit about Purulia and how this card has kind of shifted and changed how people play now. Now Purulia is a hand trap that allows you to draw 1 card for every normal summon or any summon from the hand. In this scenario specifically, I wanted to bring this up because it sort of changes the way you play. Specifically, in this specific deck of which Diego is playing, not a lot of people opting to play the Kashtira cards, but the Kashtira cards here specifically will be very vulnerable to the Purulia because all of them special summon themselves from the hand, giving a 1-for-1 draw with the Purulia, and on top of that, your normal summon, and of course thereafter, you have the Diabellstar, Poplar, lots of different ways that Purulia can absolutely do a huge amount of damage by giving your opponent way too many resources. So as you can see here, the Unicorn comes down, gets the 1-for-1 for that, and then from there, you're still going to have to perform your normal summon. Now, in situations we've seen where Snake Eye gets Purulia in the standby phase, players will sometimes have to go for Bonfire into Poplar directly rather than the Ash normal summon because that is just an extra card that you're giving your opponent. And if you combine that with a hand trap coupled with something like a Diabellstar thereafter, which they would be forced to do if their Ash or Poplar gets hit with some type of negation, you're then going to be giving your opponent more draws. So let's take a look at clip number 2 here. It's a different interaction for you guys to discuss. Now, this is the new engine from Infinite Forbidden. We've got the Fiendsmith cards. You can see here that the Unicorn goes through. We are okay with letting that resolve because now we know that our opponent is on Fiendsmith. The Kashtira cards aren't the biggest threat, but they are still somewhat relevant in this matchup, allowing you to have extra bodies, which is exactly what I wanted to point out here. You can see that 2 hand traps have been used. In previous formats, double Imperm might potentially end your turn completely. Now, because of the fact that we have the Fiendsmith engine, we can actually go into Closed Heaven. In this specific instance, it's just a direct activation of Engraver, but I did want to bring this up and show you just how powerful it is just to have 2 bodies left on the field, because while Imperm is really powerful, it doesn't actually deal with the actual monsters, which then can be used for link summons. Going into something like Closed Heaven thereafter to then just do full combo with the Beatrice, sending your starter card, sometimes like a Snake Eye Ash, to then bring back with the Princess, does allow you to have so much resilience to the hand traps, and it's why Snake Eye Fiendsmith specifically has been so powerful. There's been a little bit of a highlight and discussion on some of the aspects of this duel, and I want to highlight as well to you guys some of the power that Purulia is offering, as well as the Fiendsmith engine. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back very shortly with the next round.